Hello, hello. This is Melody. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Perfect. So it looks like we got Maddie on. So we still need 2 more SAB members to have a quorum. Who else are we expecting here? I know I'm texting with Ty right now, trying to get him the right link.
Okay. I know that Jack said he would be coming, and believe heard from Rich. He said he would be coming, and Brad said he would be coming. Maddie would. Okay. So if any of them join.
Okay. Well, we will give them a few more minutes then, and hopefully we get at least 1 more that joins on, and then we can call it to order.
All right, sounds good.
Hey, hey.
Hello.
Hey, hey.
Hey.
So the one I texted you worked?
Yeah,
That's funny, because I just typed it out.
that's so weird because it just said 404 not found when I clicked the link.
Yeah, weird.
Which link was it on the calendar invite or?
No, it was the one you sent in the email.
It was. Okay. Maybe that is why they are not here, in case. I used the ones in
I got
the
here from the agenda.
agenda.
Oh, look, we got a Rich.
Let me look at the one in the email.
Got rid of my Jeep today and
Really?
leased an electric vehicle.
Fancy, fancy. What kind?
Leaf.
Oh, Leaf.
Nissan.
Yeah.
It's actually for Mari. Mari's gonna trade hers in, her car in, so I can get a truck because the Jeep wasn't cutting it for doing what I do. So, but it's pretty sweet. It's pretty nice to drive.
Cool.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that rebate before it goes away, huh?
Right? That's what we're trying to do. How much snow is out in front of the carousel?
Maybe like an inch, but it was blown in.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't fall there, and so it's pretty compacted.
All right. I'll bring a scraper. That makes it easier.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm still not seeing Jack or a Rab. Hopefully they will join us shortly. But we do have Rich here now, so we can call to order at 6:50 p.m. And the only thing I kind of want to add to the agenda is just any subcommittee updates, because I know like the scorecard subcommittee met. So at the end, in other business, if there's anything that you guys have been working on that you want to update the board on, we'll add that to number 6 in other business. So we will start with approving the minutes from October and November. Did everyone who wants to review them get a chance to review them?
Yes.
Anybody has any changes to the minutes? Now's the time to speak. Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion to approve them.
Motion to approve the minutes.
And is there a second on that motion?
Second.
I'll second that.
Is that Jack on the phone?
It's Jack on the phone.
Okay. And we will call vote. Myself, Melody votes yes. Maddie,
Yes.
Ty,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
and Jack.
Yes.
Perfect. Minutes are approved. So we can move on to our discussion items. If Cass, you want to take it away.
Yeah, definitely. So the first one is the OSED energy improvements in rural areas, rural and remote areas grant. And that one has a link to the grant posting and then also the summary that I had sent out before. And so I just wanted to add on to that, that Britt and I met with Andrew Bliss at the wastewater treatment plant yesterday. And I know that there had been a project in the works to do solar at the treatment plant. And it, never happened, but there were plans. And so he said he was on board if we want to do some kind of like microgrid project and combine it with solar there, so that it's, clean energy related as well. And yeah, so I just wanted to pass that along that he was interested. So that could be another component of this grant project. And so I guess what I am asking is if anyone has, thoughts on this grant that they want to share, reasons that we should pursue this or shouldn't. The concept paper again is due on February 27th.
If I'm remembering right from last meeting, I think we were trying to understand what we would need from Excel if we were to pursue anything. And so I don't know if we have any more info on that. Like as far as installing our own solar, we don't need their permission. But as far as doing a microgrid, we might need either support from them or permission from them or something like that. And so I think having the discussion with them before we apply might be a good idea if microgrid is kind of what we're going to pursue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're having trouble getting in touch with people from Excel. Also, the EV charger item is similar, but yes, I agree. We can try and leverage talking with the Partners in Energy group and see if they're able to get us an audience with Excel or pass along our questions.
Okay. Who is the person that you guys have to contact at Excel? Like, have you been trying?
So I believe there were two that Britt had in previous contact with.
Caleb and Jacob, and one of them called me. I have to call them back tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, because
but they worked with us on the infrastructure for the EV charger, so I was just hoping they could point us in the right direction.
Okay, yeah, so the last person that I have as our like community liaison with Excel is a woman named Iffy. I'm not sure if it's still her, but I know before that it was Craig, who has moved up into a higher position. And I feel like whenever I've had an issue, I've kind of talked to Craig, and somehow all of a sudden then we get it. So like there was this whole microgrid thing that happened, and I like reached out to Craig, and that's when the program came around and was like, oh, somebody else dropped out. Does Nederland want that project? Because Craig knew we were looking for it. And so I'm wondering if we just need to go higher.
We can definitely, I forgot about Iffy. We can definitely reach out to her, but in my experience, she hasn't been the best. So I might just reach out to Craig. If you wouldn't mind forwarding his contact to us, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll see if I can still find it. But he was who was in Iffy's position when we signed the MOU with Excel, that stated that we were going to work together on our renewable energy goals, and Excel is aware and supportive of Nederland working towards 100% by 2025. So, and, you know, Becca might know what Craig's contact is too. So, with partners and
sorry, who was? Oh, okay, yeah.
Becca.
Becca, yeah. I will send her an email. Okay. I guess if that's like the main component that we're waiting on. Does anyone have any other concerns or questions about the recommendation that I had written up in the summary, besides talking with Excel?
I mean, I've never put together this kind of proposal before. And so like what I would imagine is that this would take quite a bit of lifting to put together. And if it's due February 27th, we have 2 sustainability advisory board meetings between now and then. So it seems like we'd have to I mean, we would need to bring this out into a subcommittee and work pretty expediently to pull something together, including coordinating with Excel and other parties, and then B, like, it seems like that's something we'd want to have a draft or an outline of prior to our next meeting. Is that accurate? And I guess I'm just like trying to understand, like, if this is something we want to pursue, what are the steps of the tasks? How do we break it down so that it gets done and we can submit, or get through the approval, like the approvals that we need to on our end in order to then submit?
Yeah, great question. So February 27th is the due date for the concept paper. So we do not have to have everything figured out. It's not binding. It's just so that they can see who is planning to apply and tell us if, basically encourage us or discourage us from applying. So that's nice that it's not like everything needs to be figured out, but yes, probably need to talk to Excel and, get all the responsible parties on board. I would say the next steps would be talking to NRail, because they offer 8 hours of free technical assistance for this grant specifically for anyone applying. And so that would be very helpful in just getting, determining like what technical specifications we need for the concept paper. And I believe the concept paper is no longer than 7 pages. They have it outlined in the grant, like description, what you should include. Yeah, I think I agree. Like, it might be nice to have a subcommittee, at least one other person to work with me on this. I don't know if anyone is really gung-ho about it.
I think as a general principle, I'm pretty stoked on finding federal funding to help make Nederland more resilient, especially in a renewable way. So I volunteer for your subcommittee.
Thanks.
And just to kind of let everyone know how this like typically works, like Cass said, we'll need to meet with this team, make sure we're doing it correctly. Staff usually takes on the load, but would love to help. And then we'll need to bring it before the board of trustees before we submit this concept, just to make sure they're good with it as well. So yeah, I think I can start at least getting the Excel portions moving. I'll email those people and try to take that off you guys. And then if Jack, if you want to work with me and Cass, that would be awesome.
That would be great. Yeah, and I obviously, yeah, I would love to support however I can.
Yeah, great. And it was included in the summary, but with the 20% match that's required, it's very likely that we can get other funding from the LOMA grant, which local something matching grant. I did reach out and they do have funding left. And so that is something we can apply for to cover that 20% match that is required. Or I guess it'd be 5% for local governments. It's definitely less. Yes, 5% for local governments. So that's much better.
Great. I don't know how much time I have between now and February. But I do have a little bit of experience with grants. So if you're like wanting someone to look things over or help trying to answer a question or understand what the grantors are asking for, like definitely reach out and let me know if you need any help or anything.
Yeah, definitely reach out to you about that. I think it would be good to get multiple sets of eyes on the concept paper before we submit it too. All right, well, if there's nothing else on that, then I think we have a plan. Yeah, we have action items to work on. So I guess we'll move on to the bag fee. So with this one, I shared the outreach plan that's attached with the Board of Trustees, and they had some questions, but nothing to add or change. One suggestion from an NDDA board member was to include newspapers, or I assume the Mountaineer, in the outreach to spread more information, so that if you all think that is a good idea, then that can be included in the outreach plan. So for you, I guess my question is there anything you have questions on or would like to change from the outreach plan, anything that you would like to see the zero waste subcommittee work on with this.
I think it looks good. I like the timeline too, and like kind of what we talked about in the zero waste subcommittee meeting of like setting out each quarter for different like implementation phases. So I think it all looks really good.
Great.
I agree. I think the plan is great. I don't see a lot of issues with it. I want to make sure you feel like you're supported and you feel good about what you're going forward with. I think one thing I'm still, as a person that manages a business, so I'm putting on my other hat right now, I'm still a little confused as like, what do I do with the $10 I've collected in bag fee money in 2024? And those of us who are willing to retroactively submit it, is there a way to get us a form, say before the end of the year, and say, FYI, if you haven't been submitting a bag fee because you don't know how to do it or don't have a form, here you go. Or in our January kind of outreach, can we at least say, like, if you did collect it in 2024, we'll still collect it, and here's how you do that.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that we should probably include it in the January outreach. If you would like to submit the bag fee, I can send you the information specifically, and then you don't have to wait till January when it's emailed out. But I think around the holidays things get busy, and it might be better to kind of do that all together, but I'm open to suggestions. And I also, yeah, appreciate you asking if I feel supported. And I do. I have, like, you know, other staff that I'm working with to implement this. And I think it would actually be really great to do some kind of webinar where we have not just town staff talking to business owners about this, but also having like a business point of view. So I don't know, Melody, if you would be interested in like joining a webinar. Ideally, it would be short, but at least then we have, you know, an actual business perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, if you do have any more feedback on that, just send me an email. But I think, yeah, we will definitely have direction for businesses to submit fees that they might have already collected. And I'll include that in the outreach plan as well. All right.
I guess I do have one other question.
Yeah.
As far as enforcement goes, I know that kind of comes later, but what is the way for somebody to like complain and say, hey, this store is still giving out plastic bags? Like, what is that process for the community, and do we have a plan to kind of explain that to the community?
Right. I would, since I don't have experience with the enforcement, but I know Britt has a lot of experience with that, I might defer to Britt.
Yeah. I think best just to keep it uniformed, reaching out to I'm over code enforcement, so it would be me and Jake Cook, and we could definitely get that information out there. We have a lot of like that's kind of how code enforcement works. People will submit anonymous complaints, and then we investigate, and then give them so many chances to fix it, and then you know start with the fees or the violations. So I think it could be me and Jake would really be the contacts.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Great. Well, if there's nothing else on that one, then we can move on to the EV charger at the library updates. So this is really just some info for y'all that we discussed the Charge Ahead grant and potential locations for an EV charger with Tim, probably saying his last name wrong, but Tim Redder at the library. And we're waiting to hear back from Excel, as we kind of talked about before, to assess the site's capacity and infrastructure. I believe that there might have been some work already done on this. So if they, have that information already, that would be awesome, but we still need to get in touch with them. And then we met with Leah Yancey about the charging and fueling infrastructure grant, the CFI grant that's administered. Sorry, excuse me for 1 minute. Okay. We met with her about the CFI grant that Boulder County received to basically install, 70 to 100 charging stations across the county. And one of the points that she made is that they are focusing on low income areas, disproportionately impacted communities in Boulder County, and also rural areas. And so we asked specifically about rural areas, and it's kind of like vague on the definition of that, but really just looking at where the need is and if we can demonstrate that there is a need in Nederland for more EV charging, then Nederland would definitely be part of that. We are in conversation with that working group, so we will be part of that going forward. And I know that they are ideally looking at like community gathering places, and there are a number of places, including the library, that would kind of qualify for that in Nederland. Yeah, so any questions on that?
Are they ultimately looking for some kind of like meter shed type analysis for demand, like in terms of like, I mean, Ned's about as centrally rural as Boulder County gets, right?
Yeah, she didn't ask specifically. It sounds like the working group is still trying to figure that out, how to assess demand, but I did mention that once we have the level 3 charger up and start getting data from how often that is being used, that would definitely help us inform if we need another one in town. And that is still unfortunately not up, and we are working with the company. There's issues with trying to locate like the warranty information, and they want to send someone out to repair it, but there's costs involved with paying for their travel and lodging. They're requesting that we pay for that, so we're still trying to work through all of that to get someone out here to actually look at the charger, because we've tried with the resources we have, and it has not been able to connect to a network.
Yeah, I would I think it would be, I think for a number of reasons, I'd lean towards an analysis that doesn't rely on usage data from the existing level 3 charger, for a number of reasons, only one of which is the fact that that charger is not running yet. I think, among other things, when you're electrifying an area that doesn't have good charging infrastructure already, there's a bit of a it's an enabler, right? So you're looking at having charging available, especially if you're trying to support folks in rural areas who may want to electrify. Like, that's, you look at the possible demand based on population, where people are driving, where central locations are, where you can put that infrastructure to have a big effect. I look at that on kind of a go forward basis rather than the single data point of a charger that we haven't been able to get working yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think that's kind of what I meant by the commuter shed analysis is, look at the folks that live up here. Ned is it's got a pretty big rural service area on peak to peak. So I might look at that, and that's some of that is available. I've done this kind of analysis before. It was a decade ago, but looking at commuter sheds for public transportation in a rural public transportation district, and some of that you can get to some of that information from census data.
Okay, and you were saying commuter shed, is that the word?
Yeah. So you're looking
Okay.
at
I think I just misheard you before. Thought you said meter or something, but yeah, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can definitely do that sort of an analysis for just having support for putting a level 3 charger in at one of the NED locations.
I'm wondering if we can get some of the information you're referring to, Jack, from the multimodal transportation plan that the town just did. I think that was with SE Group as well, because they didn't necessarily delve into like where we're going to need EV chargers, but it did give us a lot of insight and understanding as to where people are driving. If I remember correctly, it was something like more than 50% of Nederland residents work outside of the town of Nederland. So they are commuting, and most of them to Boulder or Denver metro area. And that 50% of the people that work in Nederland are commuting here from elsewhere, mostly Gilpin County, kind of broader area.
Yeah, and I think that second one is potentially the most impactful for the benefits of a level 3 charger, right? Is folks who are coming into town and that live outside. But sorry, the basic statement is yes, that information seems incredibly relevant and valuable, and I'm glad some of this work has already been done. It sounds like.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'll have to maybe talk to the consultants and see if they could provide that data in case they have like more
I can give you that raw data. I still have it. The consultants were Fear and Pierce, so we have all that data, and we can set up a meeting if you want to ask more in-depth questions about it too.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Right. anything else on EV charging updates? Any questions?
I think we got the flavor on the level 3 charger and getting that the one that's installed up and running. So that sounds good to me.
Okay.
You know, in summary, you're working on it and it's challenging, which I appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately running into a number of challenges that have to do with a lot of components, I think, including, you know, the company that handled it for us in the first place being different than the actual manufacturer of the charging station. And yeah, but if anyone wants more insight into that, we can definitely talk offline about it.
Yeah, to let everyone know, the person would need this through the night.
I'm not sure if other people caught that, but Britt, I didn't quite catch what you said.
Sorry about that. I was saying the person should be here the 7th through the 9th. So
Right.
it should realistically be up January 9th.
Exciting.
Yep. Here's hoping. All right. Well, we will move on to PACE. So this point is really just about PACE's solar rebate program. I did meet with Matt Hannon, who was our contact, or has been the contact for us. And I walked through like the Eldora International Housing with him on an audit just to see what he does. But one of the things that stuck out to me in our conversation is their solar rebate program, which I'm not sure if all of you are aware of, but it's 75 cents per watt based on system capacity, or up to $10,000 per project, not per entity. So like Eldora has done multiple solar projects and gotten the solar rebate for each project. And yeah, open to businesses, nonprofits, multifamily housing. And so that just brought up the question for me about if we want to address renewable energy in the commercial sector, and kind of a clarifying question for our 100% renewable goal. Are we, in our 100% renewable goal, are we including municipal, commercial, and residential energy use in Nederland? Is that the case?
Yes.
Okay.
And yes, I believe we have promoted this in the past. I want to say that Busey Brews took advantage of it, which is why they have that solar on their deck.
Great. Well, I think we can continue to promote it then, if we know that there are, you know, new buildings going up to, another thought is, you know, BNF has new owners, so would be worth it to at least mention it to them.
I agree. That's what I was just going to say, is
Okay.
not just new businesses, but when businesses change hands is also a great time, you know, to reapproach them, re-engage them and say, hey, did you know this stuff is available? Because you never know if the new business owner is going to be on board or not, but you hope they might be.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess the assumption here is that existing buildings with no change in management, we've beat that, and this is because I'm new. We've beat that drum, or we've at least gotten that message out already, including, because I mean 75 cents a watt is it's a significant rebate, and we still have tax credits available. It's meaningful.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you
mean-
know, I think a lot of the businesses that we've reached out to in the past that have decided not to pursue this, it's either because the funding mechanism doesn't feel right for them for whatever reason. Because I believe PACE also kind of tries to connect them as much as they can with people where they can do like loans on the solar system, et cetera, et cetera. And the other one is just staff capacity. So they're just so busy managing the day-to-day of their organization that this is just another project they don't have the time or capacity to take on. So I think that second group, every once in a while, there might be times where we could circle back and say, hey, you didn't have capacity then, but do you now? But the ones that are struggling to make ends meet financially, unless we find a great financer, that's going to be a harder pull.
Yeah, and I think that makes a ton of sense. I think that for most businesses, energy use is not it's 10% of their total costs, and it's just not that. If they're working in the chaos of operating their business, it's often something they don't have bandwidth for, which is like one of the reasons why like a turnkey developer can be really helpful. Similar to what you were talking about with financing packages.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. When was the last time we like ran that kind of commercial outreach?
I want to say when Garrett was on board. I don't know how long ago that was though. 2022?
Okay.
Maybe. I know that the warehouse building, the African Market Baskets and Clinica building on Big Springs, that he had intended to eventually put solar on that building, but was running into some issues. And so I think he might be someone to circle back around on. I do think eventually getting solar on that building is a good possibility. And it's a big building. And I'm trying to think of the other one that was like not right now, but maybe later. If I think of it, I'll send it along to you.
Okay, great. And then I have a question about, I guess, has there been outreach, I assume, to Ron Mitchell because he owns a lot of the buildings downtown that businesses operate out of?
Yeah, there's history there. I would say, to make a long story short, and this is from my understanding, I'm not speaking for anybody else,
Mhm.
that Ron does not want to put a lot of money in the buildings that exist because his plan is to tear them all down and build something new. And so he is fully on board to put solar onto new buildings that go up, but not necessarily on board to invest in energy efficiency or solar on current buildings.
Okay. That definitely tracks with other things I've heard. So, okay. Good to know.
He did bring his proposal several years ago. This was probably 2018. So a long time ago, to the SAB to look at his downtown redevelopment plan. He wanted us to put it through the scorecard, and we said, your project is not ready to go through a scorecard yet. There's not really any building details. We need to know construction materials, height of building, et cetera, et cetera. And basically what we told him is if he followed through on his promises to plaster the whole, roof with solar, make sure everything's super tight energy efficiency wise, that maybe he would get a good score on a SAB scorecard, but we weren't really sure. So we tried to push that onto him, and he was pretty receptive to it. But that's kind of as far as we got.
Okay. That's also, yeah, that's good to know as well. Yeah, I remember seeing something about the Ron Mitchell downtown project when looking through the scorecard info.
Yeah. That sounds like actually a pretty good, the former green building consultant, doing that review really early is actually it's a good way to end up with better outcomes. So you can work with better assumptions from the beginning. But
Yep. Yeah, he was trying to sell us on Energy Star appliances, and we're like, okay, have you heard of net zero buildings?
Right.
So we were getting there slowly.
you know, the yeah, the bar keeps getting higher, fortunately.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Anything else on PACE? Anything you might be wondering about, I can ask Matt about. We're supposed to have regular meetings coming up, so probably going to be meeting quarterly with him, and I'll try and do some business visits as well when he's up in Ned.
Is there going to
Yeah,
be
that
any
would be
additional
great.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
Is there
Beth.
going to be any additional outreach on the Colorado Green Business Network? Because I think those applications are in June, so it would be good to like get ahead of that for new businesses that want to participate as well.
That is good to know.
At least I think, Melody, it's in June, right? Or July?
June, yeah.
Okay. I know
Yeah,
you
and I was
are
just
part of
thinking
it.
about that today in the car. I was like, oh, and we should make sure that, you know, we get people to sign up for the green business program.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I
I
don't
know
think
personally,
it's go
go
ahead.
ahead. I personally missed the deadline last year with our company because we were transitioning from Louisville Green Business to Colorado Green Business. And the application was way more in depth than what Louisville had. And I just like couldn't get all of our information from our corporate folks before the application was due. So just giving people a head start would be wise.
Yeah, letting them know
Yeah, and
early.
all I was gonna say is you can connect with Matt on that as well. And he can help when he does approach businesses. Say also, did you know the Green Business Program is around? And if you need help, because him and myself and Erica were the ones to kind of go through it the first time and launch it. This was before the survey was even live. So we did like the beta version of it. And so that's kind of how I got in and was able to do the carousels application because I had already been through it. But so Matt is pretty knowledgeable about that as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, he did mention that program. So I will definitely connect with him about the application and getting that outreach done as well. Great. Well, if nothing else with PACE, then another kind of informational item. The sustainability grant application was submitted on time before the 12th, and it was, brought before the board and board of trustees, and they approved it and had a letter of support. So we should be good to go on that. I've talked with Leah Yancey, who kind of administers that grant. I've talked with her a number of times, so I don't see any issues there. And if nothing on that, then with the Partners in Energy graduate support, I attached the plan that the proposal that they shared with us. And it's not really an MOU, it's just saying that they're going to continue their graduate support, and these are the things that it includes. And I wanted to share it with SAB, just so you know what's going on, and wanted to ask if you have any questions or concerns about that.
No, I think it looks great. There isn't anything in here about like hosting an event to like inform the community of something or whatever, but I do feel like that is within the budget, and so I know that's kind of been one of the more effective things we've done in the past. So I just want to confirm that, like, say we hosted a movie about renewable energy and a little discussion, and then tried to get people to sign up for a solar garden, or tried to get people to do something else, start composting or something like that, that would kind of qualify. Well, I guess have to be energy, so not composting, but that kind of event would qualify as okay for this kind of graduate support.
Right. Yeah, I can ask that at our next meeting, and see what they say, and see if they can include that in the support document as well. Because yeah, that would be good to have written out.
Yeah, and so then I guess we've got to kind of talk about energy-wise, what is the kind of outreach that we want to tackle this upcoming year? Not that we need to answer it right now or anything, but just folks be thinking about what are those projects that we want to use this, graduate support to kind of outreach with. Anybody else have comments or questions about the PI graduate support?
I mean, some of this is recency bias, but we were just talking about commercial solar, and it sounds like there is at least some opportunity for identifying good targets, and bringing maybe not full technical assistance, but something that makes it easier for businesses to say yes to solar, rather than sort of a pretty high burden of logistics to figure out whether it makes sense for them. That seems like it's something that could fall into that category.
Yeah.
But again, that's I think the other question I had is around extending these energy goals, and I think maybe I'm conflating the 100% renewable extension, the cycle of partners in energy graduate support, and then we had talked about reaffirming or centering on our sustainability goals after the elections in June, after not the elections, but after we refreshed the sustainability advisory board in June. And it occurs to me that that's kind of a long time to wait to get moving on this, if the graduates, like if this, it just seems off cycle, I guess, if that makes sense. Which was a question, like, does it seem off cycle that we're kind of confirming that we're doing this graduate support with a PIE now, and then we're reaffirming the goals and putting forward a plan of how we're going to tackle that in June.
I see what you mean.
So I think, first of all, we've been with the PIE program since 2020. And it all started when we signed the MOU with Excel, and I want to say that was 2018, and we did a renewable energy kind of focus thing with them for a year, and that was when now we're in graduate support because we graduated from that first program. And so I want to say that PIE is like an 18-month cycle, 18 months. It kind of depends on what program we choose. And that's why last time Cass was saying she wasn't sure if it was going to be another MOU, which would be like a certain month cycle, or instead what we have, which is just kind of ongoing graduate support for the next 12 months. And so it kind of shifts as we go, but we've kind of been in this program for several years. So for me, they're not really connected.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That's helpful.
I understand what you're getting at, and I'm not against revisiting when the SAB kind of discusses their goals. But yeah.
And I do want to point out that this graduate support, they actually are only doing it from January to July 2025.
6 months.
And then we'll revisit that in July and see if we can extend it as well.
Great.
Okay.
Given the scope, I think 2 tactical things that would be really helpful is working with them to get the right contacts at Excel from project management support, and potentially based on just the conversation we've had here, working to see if we can use their support with to help on the commercial solar side. But those are just the 2 things that come immediately to mind and would be relevant on that time frame.
Yes, I agree. Especially with trying to get contacts from Excel. They seem to usually have updates when we ask them to ask Excel. So they have more of a direct line, it seems.
They do.
Yeah.
Love support navigating utilities.
Right. Anything else on the PI graduate support?
The other thing that we've done with them, which has often been pretty effective, is like the mailers. They can do the mailers in everybody's PO box with some sort of promotion, whatever we're trying to get out there. They do all the design work of what we need on it, the content, they mail it out, all that stuff. So that's another strategy we can think of using them for.
Yeah, great point.
Well, that's all I got. So if anybody else has any updates that they're bringing back to SAB from any subcommittees, go ahead and bring that up now, or any other things you want to put on the agenda in the future.
So for zero waste, our last meeting was really just talking about kind of logistics and what we want to do moving forward. And really the only update from that is like we're going to have more of a project management system and develop like a spreadsheet and assign people tasks and that sort of thing just to keep people engaged. So that's the only update from Zero Waste. And with the sustainability scorecard, we did try and meet. However, there were just issues, you know, around the holidays, work can get busy and people have, you know, less time or are trying to get things done before the holidays. So we did try and meet. It did not end up happening. We do have a set date to meet in 2 weeks, and we want to bring something to SAB at our January meeting, which I think will be the 23rd.
Yeah. Am I misremembering? Because we did meet and talked about.
We did. Yeah.
We have met. We've almost
That's
met
true.
3 times.
Yeah.
And we made some progress on updating and editing the scorecard, but we need to consolidate those edits. But we had talked about looking to lead for communities as a reference, both in terms of concept and language, and then also reviewing the draft town plan so that it all meshes well and is thematically consistent. I think that was what we talked about in our first meeting.
Yeah. No, you're right. I forgot about that because we were just talked about potential ideas, it felt like, and we're going to reconvene. So yeah, we don't have much to report on right now.
All right. Anybody have anything else?
I did want to ask about kind of structuring these meetings. You might have noticed that I used a different agenda format. That's really just because it's easier for me to create the agenda and post it that way. And easier to link things and make sure it's all like compiled into a PDF, those sorts of things. Makes it a lot easier to just use the software that we have. And I wanted to just mention that for meetings going forward, I'm going to have like basically a deadline, I think, to basically submit agenda items so that I can get the agenda sent out to everyone the week before the meeting, probably on Thursday or Friday, so that everyone has time to review it. And that way I kind of have a set process. And I just wanted to check if anyone has any concerns with that moving forward.
I have, I think, some process questions, just because I generally have been in charge of submitting the agenda to town staff who then posts it. So I want to make sure, number one, you're okay taking on that duty, because that is kind of one of the main things that the chair of a board in general does. And so I don't necessarily want that rote, annoying duty to fall on you all the time. But if you're going to have to take what we do and put it into the town format anyway, you know, that's kind of a different story. So I'm totally okay with it. I just want to make sure you're not getting an annoying task put on your shoulders when you could be doing better stuff.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you want me to add some clarification, Cass? And it's totally, you guys can, this is Britt. You guys can definitely do your meetings however you want. How like I'm over the PC and the BZA, and how I structure them is I'm actually creating the agenda and then set it up kind of like the board of trustees, or if you've been on the PC, you'll see it. So most staff do that, but I know you guys have ran a lot differently. um, I think some advice I'd give Cass, which again, she can choose whatever she wants. You guys can as well. Don't feel like you have to. Is that just makes it more organized, and for some like newer members, it really engages them and gets them to look at the agenda ahead of time. And also just kind of like I know you guys have your normal day-to-day jobs too, so it really takes that burden off of you as well. But it's entirely up to you how you guys want to do it. um, so yeah, just wanted to add that input. That's kind of how the rest of us do it, but Cass doesn't have to do it that way, but it might just take some weight off your back, Melody, for
Well,
her to
I
do
guess
that. And yeah.
as far as like the way that boards work, in order to get something on an agenda, you need at least 2 board members or 3 board members or whatever who want it on an agenda. So if the chair's not setting that agenda, then how are these other boards functioning like that?
Yeah, so how I can't, so kind of how the board of trustees and the PC works is so like for me, I get land use applications, and so that's kind of determined that way. And then like how I'm
Yeah.
structuring the PC next year is there's a lot of code changes that kind of need to be made in chapter 16. And so I have a meeting with the chair and the vice chair, and I just kind of go over what do we want to prioritize. And then I'm just kind of going to structure it throughout the year to give us time during meetings. And then the board of trustees, there are like agenda items that 2 or 3 board members will bring, like, hey, we want this on there. And then there's other stuff staff is currently working on that we also kind of put within there with John's help of where it works best. So I think in terms of like what you guys want on there, yes. But I think since we have Cass, not full time yet, but hopefully full time soon, her and I might have more items to start throwing you guys' way, and then we can put those kind of in between other items you might want to have up. So that's just kind of how ours work. I'm not as familiar obviously with SAB. I'm just kind of coming on board with you guys. So yeah, I don't know if that helps at all.
I would say that it generally for the past couple years, as we've had kind of a part-time staff person, I feel like it's kind of been maybe a quarter to a half of our agenda is stuff that the board is kind of working on, and then the other half of our meeting agenda is all the stuff that the staff person is doing, just because we understand that this isn't a full-time role and we really need to do all the things that a full-time person would do. And so at least my understanding as a SAB member is we are helping the sustainability coordinator. We're helping town on its sustainability efforts, but we should be doing the things that Cass doesn't have time to do that we're capable of doing, so that all together we're kind of acting as a full-time staff person. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. No, yeah, I didn't know that was the case. I think however you guys want to do it is fine. My goal is within the hopefully before spring, I would really like to get Cass full time, to get her full time. That might be throwing 10 extra hours in like the planning world, which still could tie in sustainability. But yeah, that totally makes sense. I will leave it up to you guys because that's totally whatever you guys want to do, whatever it makes it easier. And then Cass has my support as well. So like I'm always happy to do it as well, if that helps, since I am full time. But yeah, no, now that you explained that, that makes total sense. I didn't know that that was the case. I'm still learning your board.
Yeah.
I think I want to jump in here and just say that with the agenda, like the things that that don't necessarily take up time, but are things that I have to do. Like I have to post it on Civic Web. I have to post it at the town hall at certain times, and so it's more just like a timeline thing for me. As long as I am like getting that posted on time, and I then it should be okay if you want to continue to make the agendas. We might just need to work more closely on things to make sure that it's done on time and all of the agenda items that people want included are on there.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, yeah, I do have a busy day job. Like I said, I don't know if when, like the past 3 months or whatever, when I've made one and sent it in, like, do you have to then reformat that into the Netherlands Civic Web to get it up there?
Yeah, so let's see. I have to upload it on Civic Web. So I have to make the agenda on Civic Web anyway, and then there's a link to the agenda that you had sent, and then any links or documents that kind of go along with it. Then I have to attach those so that it's a packet, and when we send out the agenda and when it's posted on Civic Web, people can view those documents that are linked. So I think the easier part for me is on Civic Web being able to create the agenda in their system and link the documents, and then it compiles those documents into a packet and has links to them. And I'm not saying it takes no time. It definitely takes time. But I think that is maybe the thing that makes it easier for me and a little bit less complicated is just using their system. One idea I have is, Melody, if you want to like create the agenda in terms of like what things we're going to talk about, like the discussion items and everything, and then I can add on my updates as well, then I can just take what you sent me and upload that into Civic Web in terms of like using their system to still create the agenda, but maybe not putting the time into determining, what to talk about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I just that's the less time intensive part, right? Is figuring out what's going to be on the list, and then the time intensive part is formatting it and making sure all the links work. Which
right.
With there's nothing to link to, sometimes that's super easy and it's not necessarily as much of an issue.
Yeah.
But
I'm wondering, like, I would think, giving you access would definitely help me if you did the actual creating of the agenda. But I don't know if that is, allowed to give out those passwords and such.
Yeah, probably not. I guess I'm just wondering how Miranda and Macy handled it for the last 2 years. Because we've just been working off of the Google Docs always. And there was a handful of times where I was like, hey, I don't have time to format the agenda. Here's the 7 things that we need on the agenda. Can you get it posted? and then they'd format it in a Word doc and post it. I don't think it's ever gone through CivicWeb before, so this is all new to me.
Okay.
And I will say, just my heartstrings are a little sad to not have our logo on it. Like, I can live without it, but we spent a lot of time and sourced that from the community, and I still have some hurt feelings about the whole logo thing. For those who were here during that time, we know how the logo discussion went. So I really like our sustainability board logo, and if there's any possible way to get that on our agendas, I'd really appreciate it.
We can definitely do that. I
Yeah.
think what Cass is trying to say, if I'm helping the clarification at all, is just like, if you guys have a chance to look at, I would recommend like the PC versus the Board of Trustees, because the Board of Trustees is crazy.
Yeah.
I think she wants to structure it more like that. Honestly, like you sending 7 things you want to talk about, like that's super easy for us to do. And Cass has my support, but we can definitely change out the logo in CivicWeb, because I think
Mhm.
you guys'
Yeah.
agenda has always been uploaded there. It's just been uploaded a little bit, like it's essentially the same setup, but it's not linked out the same as like PC. So we can definitely get the logo on there. I think that's what Cass is trying to get across. And
Yeah,
it's not
it's
like we're
always
wanting to
been
change anything.
yeah, it's always
Go ahead.
been just a Google Doc that I
Yeah.
make all the links of, and I save it as a PDF and send it. So it's still clickable links, but it's not
Okay.
actually created in CivicWeb.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
It's just a PDF. So yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I will say, historically, in my experience, and I know that Erica and I discussed this with the SAB, but she's not around anymore. Of like, in general, we seem to have better discussions and more fruitful discussions when there is a little bit more of a back and forth. Because unlike the PC or the DDA, that are like statutorily created bodies that serve specific government functions, we're more of an ad hoc advisory community organizing. Sometimes we do advising, sometimes we do action and projects board. It could use a little less structure sometimes in the conversations. Not to say that we should go without it altogether, but one thing that has been different for me is the whole format where we sit in chairs with microphones, and we've got, people we call on and yada yada. Like, when it's a little more conversational based, it's a little more creative juices are flowing, and it seems like ideas come out a little bit more. But I'm happy to do whatever is gonna make life easier for Cass. So
Yeah,
I
and
think
I
I'm
want you to
happy
have
to help you
the
kind of figure out what that looks like, and maybe if we want to meet sometime and just kind of sit and talk about things, like, I'm happy to do that. Or if you want from me, what are the things that you want to put on the agenda, I can just send that stuff to you and you can enter it. Or if you want to figure out how to help me, or how to help me have you enter stuff, let me know that too.
Yeah, no, I appreciate all of that. And I just to address the format, I agree, like having more casual discussions can definitely help with getting, ideas out there and helping people feel more, maybe it feels like it's more of an open, welcoming space to bring up ideas and discuss. So I definitely don't want to change like our in-person formats to the like microphone U-shaped seating. I think that's probably too structured for, like you said, for this advisory board and how you've operated. I think just like working on, yeah, like the agenda and really just doing things to streamline like the things that have to be done, kind of makes it easier for me. So I think for me, not having the control of creating the agenda and determining when it goes out does give me a bit of stress, just in making sure that it's created and goes out on time. So that would be the main thing. If we want to, if Melody, if you and I want to talk about this more offline as well, we can, like you said. But I also, like, if anyone else has suggestions or strong opinions, feel free to bring them up.
Yeah, well, and I think another thing that's new for me is my understanding is we need to post the agenda 48 hours before the meeting. I generally try to get it to Macy by Monday. I'm usually sending out to the SAB board the week before, what do you guys want on the agenda? And I think with Jonathan, he wants the agendas in earlier. So that's a new thing. So I'm happy to kind of help with that. But I think that was kind of not communicated to me ever, that we were changing that timeline. So you sent me the email that was like, hey, take a look at this agenda. And I was like, oh, I was going to work on that on Friday, but I guess it's already done. So it's done. Like, great. I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I just, there's been a lot of changeover in town hall, and we're just trying to work out the kinks here to figure out how it's going to work smoothly moving forward. And I want to be here to support you, and I want to make sure that the minimal amount of time that we get out of you is kind of being maximized and is most efficient. And
Yeah.
so if we can help with that in any way, please let us know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I think for me, since I just started, I am maybe less familiar with how things have run, and then kind of getting the overlap of seeing what has been done and then getting information passed to me on what is expected might be two things that do not match up. So I'm glad that we're, having this conversation about it as well. Yeah, but yeah, I definitely appreciate the sentiment of like not wanting to, spend time doing things that are going to take up, or take away from other tasks in the limited amount of time I have.
Yes. And let me know if you want to get together and meet. Otherwise, I will be sure to send you anything that I would like on the agenda, like a week or earlier than I normally would.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we should meet and talk about it too, just to,
yeah.
I just want to make sure like we're all on the same page and make it easy for everybody.
Yeah. New year, new processes, better everything, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're going to try. 100% renewable energy. We could do it. Okay. Does anybody else have any other business? If not, then I will move to adjourn the meeting at 8:10 p.m.
I will second.
Awesome. And is anybody opposed to that? Great. We're all in favor of ending the meeting. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Cass and Britt, for all the work you do. I hope you all have happy holidays.
Thanks. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, y'all.
Bye.